I confronted my husband after years of suspicion, and he finally admitted he's been in love with my sister. Things will never go back to the way they were, and now I'm left questioning everything about our marriage and family. Am I overreacting to a drunken confession, or did he just reveal what he's always felt? Yesterday finally confirmed all my worst fears. My husband, Ethan, 39M, who I've been married to for 10 years, told me straight out that he's in love with my sister, Natalie, 36F, while he was drunk. For years, I kind of suspected that something might be off, but I tried to chalk it up to paranoia or jealousy. Now, I'm not so sure any of that was irrational. This is how it started. We were having dinner last night at our house, along with Natalie and her husband, Mark, 38M. It was supposed to be a fun evening, and if I'm honest, we all drank quite a bit. When Natalie and Mark left, Ethan and I ended up having sex. Everything felt so good and spontaneous, not tired or routine for once. After, neither of us was sleepy, so we kept pouring wine and put on some music. The whole atmosphere was relaxed and perfect. At least, that's what I thought. Ethan looked so happy, grinning, kind of dreamy, typical of how he is when he drinks. We started talking about Natalie and Mark, how well they're doing, how happy Natalie seems. Then suddenly, Ethan blurted out, "I'm so in love with Natalie." At first, I laughed like it was a joke and said, "What?" But he said it again, "I'm desperately in love with Natalie. I wish I could taste her lips. She's incredible." The way he looked, completely serene, gazing off into the distance with the silliest smile. I asked, "How drunk are you?" But all he replied was, "Pretty drunk." I was pretty tipsy too, but what he said shattered the moment. I just sat there, stunned, and Ethan barely seemed to notice, lost in his own world. After that, I just went to bed alone. Waking up sober this morning, all his words crashed into me again. He acted totally normal, like nothing ever happened, except for looking a little hungover, but that's it. I can't stop thinking about what he said. Should I just ignore it, chalk it up to alcohol, or confront him? Maybe he doesn't even remember. I keep re-examining last night, especially the sex. It was different, intense, tender in a way it hasn't been for a long time. He kept saying he loved me, telling me I was brilliant. Natalie has always been modest, kind of a tomboy growing up, but she's lost about 25 kilos this past year and really worked out. She wore this stunning, form-fitting red dress and bright red lipstick for dinner. She looked incredible. And we all complimented her appearance. She seemed so happy about it. I don't know why that detail keeps popping into my mind. Maybe it's all a part of it. So, now I'm torn. There's the old saying, drunk words are sober thoughts. But I know alcohol can make people say stupid things they don't mean or even think. But would someone really confess something this big if there wasn't something behind it? Even if Ethan denies feeling that way, can I move past it honestly? I doubt it. I don't know if I'll ever be comfortable being around both Ethan and Natalie together again. Some friends have said that sometimes people confuse lust and love when they're drunk, that alcohol blends all those feelings. Maybe it's not as deep as it sounded, just some burst of infatuation and lowered inhibitions, but it's different from a silly drunken slip. What he said seemed so raw, so real, like something he'd been keeping bottled up because he knows how wrong it is. People spew all kinds of nonsense when they're wasted, but this wasn't that. Everyone keeps telling me to bring it up directly, see his reaction, because that'll tell me the truth. But I haven't been able to get myself to have that conversation yet. Update 1. Hi, I know everyone's been asking for an update. There's a rule about waiting 3 days between an event and an update, which is why I didn't post as soon as I talked to Ethan. Honestly, I've also just been completely torn about what to think. I finally sat down and talked to Ethan about what he said. He told me he didn't remember much after Natalie and Mark left. The rest of the night is sort of a blank to him. I told him word for word what he said about Natalie. He didn't look shocked or mortified, just confused that he'd say anything like that, but he says he has no memory of it at all. I asked point blank if he's ever felt that way about Natalie before we started drinking, or if he ever thinks about her that way when he's sober. He said he's always loved Natalie, but it's because she's kind and warm. Basically, he admires her as a person and feels grateful she's in our family. He did admit that she looked more beautiful than ever. She looked incredible, and probably my drunken self got overwhelmed with that. Then Ethan added that it's normal for people to notice someone attractive of the opposite sex. And yes, he's always thought Natalie is beautiful. Our whole family is attractive, but the weight loss totally changed her confidence. He said it made him genuinely happy to see her so happy. I asked an awful question. If he could choose between us, who would he pick? That actually did fluster him, and he said, "You're my wife, the mother of my kids. Of course it's you." So then I asked, what if we met at the same time, neither of us married? He got a little annoyed and said hypothetical questions never end well and just cause problems where there aren't any. He repeated that he loves me and our life, that I was overthinking something he said when he was simply too drunk to know who or where he was. But none of this has truly reassured me. All I can do lately is play out every possible scenario in my mind. Did he stay with me because he could always be close to Natalie that way, even if just as family? When I think of our sex that night, I keep wondering, was he picturing her the whole time? That thought is haunting me. Am I crazy for thinking this? I'm scared I'll never be able to be vulnerable with him again, that every touch is going to make me think he's really fantasizing about my sister. We live just minutes from Natalie and Mark, and before this, we were all inseparable. Now I can't stop obsessing about every single interaction between Ethan and Natalie. Has he always been more animated, happier, more alive when she's around or in conversation? Or am I imagining all this now, infected by the confession? Can I ever trust him with my emotions or with her again? I'm trying to listen to myself as best I can. He confessed to me, maybe not on purpose, but the truth came out one way or another. He admitted that he's had these feelings for Natalie for a few years now, but then he insists he loves me and our family, that he's never thought of acting on those feelings and never will. We've agreed to start couples counseling, and from now on, whenever I see Natalie, Ethan won't be there. He said the feelings have come and gone throughout the years, but he's always chosen to ignore them, and he swore again that he would never do anything about it. Edit 2. Reading through all your comments and advice, I realize I'm not alone in how much this eats away at me. Even people with similar experiences say the wound never really heals. I'm going to see a therapist by myself, too, because frankly, I can't imagine ever settling back into our old dynamic. Even just trying to be close to Ethan, physically especially, seems almost impossible because my mind won't stop replaying what he said, wondering if he really wants me or just wants what I represent. Access to Natalie as family. I find myself picking apart everything he says about her, every time he brings up her name or something she did. He's never negative. It's always positive and warm and happy. Is he the same about me? Or is this some story I'm inventing in my head now? Does anyone ever really come back from this? It feels like it'll always be present, like some shadow I can't shake off. But we're going to try counseling, and Ethan is going to give me some space regarding my relationship with Natalie. I don't know if that'll help, or if this is just the beginning of the end, but it's all I can cling to for now. That's it for this story. This story shows that trust is fragile, and once deeply shaken, it can be almost impossible to rebuild, even with the best intentions and outside help. Here is a question for you. Would you be able to forgive your partner after a confession like this? Or would you always wonder what they're really feeling?